Imagined you finish reading a book and are excited for the author to release the next one. So you go and message them donating and asking when the next one would be released. Most people not getting a response. You are fortunate and the author replied to you. But they used your real name, something you have never commented or donated as. The lights then going out in your place of work. The author tells you he entrusts you to save his world, as what you thought was the novel was reality. Welcome to our manhwa recap for today. I became the Mad Emperor. Enjoy. The tale begins in a realm where the Mad Emperor Exceltrion is astonished when Karls, the Knight of Light, defeats his dragon lineage. Following the defeat of the Mad Emperor Exceltrion, a prolonged war between humans and demons was ignited, led by the Knight of Light, Karls. The story from a novel titled The Great Human-Demon War. The person reading having read over 500 chapters, loving the novel. The captivated reader tried to get in touch with the author of the novel, asking about the release date of the next chapter, even making a $10 donation to show his support. About to return to work, hoping for a response, he suddenly received a reply from the author. The reader surprised to find his real name, Bang Guangsuk, mentioned in the message, even though he had only used Mr. Code Zero when commenting and donating. The power suddenly going out, the author messaged Guangsuk, stating that the story had to end due to his waning magic and hinted at an alternative solution. Recognizing Guangsuk's deep knowledge of the story's world, the author wanted to entrust the world's fate to him. The author planned to use his last magic power to cast the Mystic Reincarnation spell, with the final sentence containing the spell for Guangsuk's reincarnation. Guangsuk hesitated, and the author explained that while he didn't know who Guangsuk would reincarnate as, if the world was saved, Guangsuk could return to his original world. As his phone malfunctioned, the message ended with "May the God of Light bless you," and the reincarnation spell was activated. Upon regaining consciousness, Guangsuk was astonished to find himself reincarnated as Emperor Exceltrion from the Great Human-Demon War. The Rune Empire, known as the mightiest nation in the Iroth continent, was ruled by Emperor Exceltrion. However, he was the main antagonist opposing the main character, Karls. Exceltrion belonged to a small group of humans with dragon's blood, referred to as the dragon lineage. He had the most potent dragon lineage, but suffered from madness, a side effect of this lineage. A man standing beside him informed Exceltrion that the advanced troops were about to confront the demons on the demonic continent. Guangsuk recalled this scene vividly from the novel. The Mad Emperor had launched an invasion of the demonic continent, providing the demons with an opportunity to counterattack the Empire. He saw that the expedition was the start of humanity's downfall, leading to demon invasions and clashes with Karls. To survive, he had to stop this expedition. Furthermore, the individual who had been beside him all along, Enpika, was a demon, Exceltrion, ordered Enpika to halt the expedition and recall the troops, exposing that it was Enpika who had initiated and arranged everything during Exceltrion's drunken state. Following this revelation, Exceltrion fatally struck down Enpika with his sword. Guangsuk, now inhabiting Exceltrion's body, was in disbelief, realizing he had unintentionally killed Enpika, as his intention had merely been to intimidate him. Guangsuk is confused by his body's unusual actions, suspecting the coexistence of two consciousness, one belonging to Excel and one to himself. The demon expressed his curiosity about how the Emperor had uncovered his true identity. Excel responded by asserting his authority as the ruler of the Empire, stating that there was nothing he didn't know. In actuality, he recalled everything to do with the start of the story. This reply infuriated the demon, leading him to launch an attack. An Emperor's soldiers stepped in to protect the ruler, but the Emperor warned them to stay silent and that they would be executed if they obstructed him again. Guangsuk had initially intended to say, "Move aside." Excel commanded the soldier to interrogate the suffering demon, threatening execution for non-cooperation. Exhausted, Guangsuk feared losing control of Excel, leading to a repeat of the Great Human-Demon War and the creation of the brutal Rune Empire, with Excel as the central antagonist. This outcome symbolized the triple threat of the worst possible ending. Guangsuk, amazed at being in the novel, considered whether the person who brought him in was the author of the Great Human Demon War or the enigmatic mage. He questioned the author's directive to save the world since he didn't know the novel's ending. Excel recalled a story on reincarnation and dimensional transfer from the old Imperial Library. Surprisingly, Gwangsuk hadn't read it. It was something Excel himself had read. This led Excel to speculate whether the author of that book might have descendants connected to their current situation. As Gwangsuk struggled to recall the novel's events, someone knocked on his door and conveyed the message that Sir Blumhardt was requesting a meeting. Gwangsuk recalled Blumhardt of the White Dragon Knights that served directly under the Emperor. Despite others abandoning the Mad Emperor, Blumhardt stayed loyal and met his end fighting against demons. Blumhardt enters with respect for Excel, but Excel can sense his killing intent, suspecting concern about his potential madness. Blumhardt apologizes, citing tension over the Prime Minister's matters. Excel reveals executing the Prime Minister, taking full responsibility. Blumhardt bows, acknowledging no excuse for his earlier concerns. In Gwangsuk's view, he harbored no blame for Blumhardt, acknowledging the commander's tireless dedication to defending the northern region. In contrast, the unemotional Excel remarked to Blumhardt that he was competent in safeguarding the border and that his aging body wasn't entirely worthless. Blumhardt thanked Excel for the compliments and noticed a change in him. Excel responded that he remained the same but had decided not to let crazy voices dominate him. Intrigued, Blumhardt asked about the crazy voices, and Excel explained he referred to the dragon lineage. Blumhardt recalled a time when Excel had issued a strict warning that anyone mentioning the dragon lineage within the palace would face execution. Blumhardt decided to reveal the truth to Excel, sharing that he had spent the past 3 years searching for a cure for the dragon lineage, but couldn't mention it earlier due to Excel's orders. Throughout the Empire, diligent efforts were made to suppress the Emperor's dragon lineage madness, but they seemed in vain. Excel believed their failure stemmed from a lack of knowledge about the world's future, offering a glimmer of hope. Blumhardt found this intriguing, leading Gwangsuk to ponder the person with the most potent dragon lineage on the continent, described in the novel as capable of facing calls without armor or weapons. Excel then informed Blumhardt that he knew of a way to suppress the dragon lineage. Excel promptly instructed Blumhardt to summon Duran from the Senate, as there were various plans that needed to be put into action. The present time, in the year 427 of the Imperial Draconic calendar. If they were to let the original story unfold, Excel would meet his end in the year 433 of the same calendar. With the remainder of the current year included, he had roughly 7 years left. With limited time, Gwangsuk had to find a way to control Excel's mind, suppressing the dragon lineage, and avoid conflicts with Karl's. Following, the original novel's storyline risked Karl's discovering Excel's intentions, aligning with humans, and leading to a confrontation with Excel. Excel's assertion of standing on the side of justice clashed with Karl's perspective. This confrontation heightened Excel's pride, leading to a dire annihilation ending. Gwangsuk, unsure when Excel's encounter with Karl's would lead to their annihilation, the least he knew. In order to save the world, he needed to defeat the demons. Blumhardt was thrilled, believing the Emperor had regained his cleverness, seen as answered prayers from the God of Light. Later, he met Duran, who was surprised as he was also heading to see the Emperor. Upon arriving at the Emperor's room, Excel asked if Duran knew about the day's events, and Duran confirmed, expressing disbelief about the Chancellor's true identity as a demon. Duran, leader of the Senate and a powerful mage, held a significant position, appointed directly by the Emperor. Excel revealed a need to visit a place in an attempt to suppress his dragon lineage alone, and asked Duran to act as a substitute for the Emperor and keep his absence secret during that time. Duran deliberated and mentioned he could manage for up to a month, but anything longer would be impossible, as the news would inevitably spread. Blumhardt, worried for the Emperor's safety, begged Excel to take at least a few guards on the journey. Excel, displaying a menacing demeanor, insisted it was unnecessary since few could challenge him on the continent. Nevertheless, Blumhardt knelt and fervently implored the Emperor to take one bodyguard, making it his lifelong wish. Though a bit irritated by Blumhardt's persistence, Excel agreed to grant his wish. Gwangsuk, touched by Blumhardt's concern, felt they should honor his request. Duran interjected, stating that incognito travel would be pointless without a change of attire. He had items from a previous emperor for Excel to use, making him look like a regular mercenary. Excel began removing his clothes, leaving Guangsuk bewildered about changing in front of onlookers. Excel's confidence made him believe no one would dare to look at the emperor's body. After undressing completely, Excel asked Duran to help him get dressed. Remembering Blumhart's request, Excel asked about the promised bodyguard. Duran confirmed the guardian knight would arrive soon, and it turned out to be Blumhart's daughter. A girl dressed as a knight suddenly arrived, seeking the emperor. Excel turned to look at her, and she blushed deeply upon seeing him. Overwhelmed by the sight, she dropped her shield when she noticed the emperor's radiant weapon, leading her to shout loudly. The girl apologized to the emperor for seeing him undressed. Recognizing the girl as Blumhart's daughter, Excel assumed her skills were impressive. To assess her skills, Excel decided to test the girl in combat. Excel attempted to strike the girl, and she adeptly defended herself with her shield. Impressed by her skills, Excel complimented her and inquired about her name. The girl introduced herself as Renart Blumhart. With preparations complete, Excel requested a mage conjure up a portal leading to a small hut in the clear valley within the Bloody Forest. Upon their arrival in the forest, Renart asked Excel about their location. Excel explained they were in the Bloody Forest, a territory ruled by elves and currently embroiled in a conflict between the elves and the barbarians. This was where the Emerald Ruins were situated, the very ruins in which the elixir of the ancients was sealed. Excel and Renart's destination were the hidden Emerald Ruins nearby, which he needed to obtain a relic to control his dragon lineage. Renart, aware of rumors about the ruins being filled with monsters and traps, expressed her curiosity about how the two of them would navigate these dangers as a duo. Expressing a lack of time to explain every detail, Excel decided their first step was to find a forest elf who might know the ruins' location. Excel mentioned hearing about Renart's abilities from Blumhart and asked her why she didn't use her innate blood key. Wangsuk remembered that Orange Blood Key was particularly skilled in detection. Renart, looking concerned, explained that she had never detected an elf before, and using her ability to search over long distances was challenging. Suddenly, she sensed a rapidly approaching lifeform. It was an elf child, desperately fleeing from pursuing barbarian orcs and pleading for help. The sight of the approaching lifeform brought a smile to Excel's face, leaving Renart taken aback. She was aware of the conflict between the barbarians and the elves, but hadn't expected the barbarians to target a child. This unexpected turn of events left Excel feeling satisfied. As they were searching for an elf, one suddenly appeared before them. Additionally, Excel mentioned that he was reaching his limit in suppressing his dragon lineage from going on a rampage. Renart tried to calm Excel, but he couldn't control his excitement and charged toward his targets, eager to tear them apart. Concerned, Renart warned Excel that the young elf could get caught up in the violence, but Excel told her to be quiet as he mercilessly eliminated the barbarian orcs. The sensation of blood heightened Excel's excitement, and he proclaimed to the barbarian orcs that he would dispose of them like a pile of useless matter. The relentless Mad Emperor continued his rampage, leaving Guangsuk residing within him to wonder why he fought in such a brutal manner. Guangsuk recalled Blumhart teach Excel how to wield a sword, knighting him after as he loved it tremendously. But this battle showed how Excel had lost his knightly demeanor with a mad expression on his face covered in the orc's blood, unable to think properly. The young elf, fearing Excel after witnessing him defeat the orc invaders. Excel believed the child to be the last orc left, but Renart intervened, clarifying that all the orcs were already defeated. As the little elf trembled in fear, they heard someone calling his name, Rondo. A group of elves screaming out his name to figure out his location. Excel called them over as they would be of use to him. However, the elves, upon noticing Excel's blood-stained attire, became alarmed and urgently sought to rescue Rondo. Returned home, the elves were initially shocked, as they didn't realize Excel had saved Rondo by defeating the orcs. Impressed he had done it with his bare hands, Excel's face still covered in blood, he asked for something to wipe it off with. After cleaning up, the elf recognized Excel's resemblance to Magnus. Excel corrected them, revealing Magnus as his father's name. The elf remembered encountering Magnus multiple times. mentioning his research on the dragon lineage cure and noted their similar clothing. Concerned, the elf asked about Magnus, and Excel sadly revealed his father had passed away. The elf saddened voiced Magnus's great nature, prompting Excel to question the casual discussion about the late emperor. The elf was shocked when Excel revealed that Magnus was the former emperor of Rune, and he Exceltrion's current ruler. Excel cautioned the elf to show respect and stop the overly familiar behavior. He then asked to be taken to Haspel, as he had business with the great sage of the elves. When Renard questioned Excel's decision to hide his identity, Excel insisted there was no need. Growing agitated, he commanded the elves to bow their heads and show proper respect to the emperor. Upon reaching the elven capital, Haspel, Excel was met by an elder who shared the city's ancient history. He mentioned the threat from barbarians in the Bloody Forest and revealed that in the past 1,000 years, only Excel and his father, Magus, had entered Haspel. The elders surprised to learn that Magus was an emperor. Growing increasingly irritated, Excel warned the elder to show proper respect by referring to his father as the former emperor. The elder, sensing Excel's intense anger, inquired about his purpose in the village, citing caution due to the barbarian threat. Excel's frustration peaked, and he menacingly questioned if the elder's head was still attached, emphasizing that if he were truly angry, it would have been severed by now. The frightened elder trembled in fear after hearing Excel's words. Persisting in his discourse, Excel suggested that the elves become vassals of his empire due to the threat of orc attacks, expressing concern for their potential extinction. The shocked elder reminded Excel of boundaries, despite his emperor's status, emphasizing Haspel's protected status with a barrier that, according to him, rendered the empire's strength unnecessary. However, Excel pointed out that the barrier relied on elves outside Haspel, and if they perished, the barrier would crumble instantly. Surprised by Excel's knowledge of the barrier's secret, the elder asked how he discovered it. Excel confidently claimed that as emperor, there was nothing he didn't know, though the information actually came from Gwangsuk, who read about it in the Great Human-Demon War. With the also imminent threat from demons to the human race, Gwangsuk was aware they needed the elves' cooperation to survive. The elder couldn't believe humans had uncovered their secret. Exploiting this advantage, Excel proposed the elves become vassals of the Rune Empire in exchange for promised protection. The elves' history of nearly 10,000 years made the elder hesitant to become vassals of an empire that hadn't endured for even 500 years. Excel countered, arguing that the empire's duration didn't matter if it were to fall. He urged the elder to decide quickly, emphasizing the imminent threat of perishing at the hands of the barbarians in the Bloody Forest, which Gwangsuk knew happened in the novel. The elder, unable to make such a decision by himself, needed to consult with the other elders in need of time to do so. Excel responded to give him time only to start activating a spell which scared the elder to say he indeed wanted a relationship with the Empire. He then told the elder to quickly convince the others with limited time on their hands. Excel, told by the elder to entrust he would do so. He stated he would send knights for the elf's protection immediately. He then revealed his true reason for visiting, entering the Emerald Ruins. An elf grew upset, emphasizing the elves' long-standing guardianship of the ruins. In response, Excel issued a veiled threat, hinting displeasure if they obstructed his entry into the ruins. The elves cooperated with the determined emperor, and as Excel pledged to protect them, he instructed Renard to send a letter to Duran. However, Renard hesitated, expressing concern about Excel entering the ruins alone, believing it to be a challenge beyond his individual capacity. Though moved by Renard's advice, Gwangsuk knew he had to enter the ruins to stop the dragon blood. Trying to dismiss Renard coolly, Excel's consciousness conveyed a chilling message. Those who defy the Emperor's will must face dire consequences. Renard explained she was considering what was best for the Emperor. Excel assured her he wouldn't enter the ruins without assessing the risks. He offered Renard the chance to return to the Empire immediately, promising forgiveness, but warned of potential displeasure if she failed. Seeing Excel as merciful, Renard decided to follow orders and promptly return to the Empire. Excel asked the Elf Elder if they were aware that the ruins contained treasure, and the Elf Elder confirmed it. According to legends, the elixir of the ancients, the ultimate medicine, was said to be in the deepest part of the ruins. Gwangsuk realized the similarity to the great human demon war and believed that obtaining the elixir could cure the madness of the dragon lineage. Before entering the ruins, Excel instructed the elf elder to persuade the other elders before his return within a week. He also directed the start of his father's research and ordered Imperial Knights to protect the elven village outside the barrier, so expect their arrival in a few days. Expressing gratitude, the elf elder received an additional order: do not let anyone enter the ruins. Inside the Emerald Ruins, Excel began to eat moss, even though it tasted like poop. Gwangsuk, reluctant but following the novel's storyline, did the same, recalling that the underground ruins in the novel were filled with poison. Excel noticed the moss thriving in such conditions. Despite the urge to vomit, he ingested it as a precaution against the poison. In that moment, emerald golems emerged, able to regenerate no matter how many pieces they broke into. Excel took over and rushed in with his thirst for battle. In the Demon Palace, shocking news reached their leader concerning Clune, who had successfully infiltrated the Rune Empire as their prime minister. A soldier reported that the Emperor of the Rune had eliminated Clune. The leader found it difficult to believe that Clune, an unparalleled shapeshifter, had been caught, given his exceptional powers of disguise. Aware of the Emperor's reputation for madness, they initially assumed that he had simply killed the Prime Minister out of personal dislike. Consequently, they decided to send another shapeshifter. The general, more concerned with the chosen child of light from the prophecy, proclaimed to be their biggest threat. He ordered all deployed shapeshifters in the Rune Empire to converge on the Temple of Light. The directive was to capture the chosen one alive, and the general intended to personally greet him. In the battle with the Emerald Golems, Excel felt a sense of satisfaction absent in his encounters with orcs, who fell with a single strike. The golems, more resilient, brought a thrilling excitement to Gwangsuk. But aware Excel to be slipping into madness the more time spent fighting, he wondered why it was becoming harder to control him. He speculated that familiarity with the Mad Emperor's fighting style might be a factor. Recalling details from the novel, Gwangsuk knew that the key to incapacitating the golems was to break their mana cores. Armed with this knowledge, Excel sprang into action, determined to shatter all the mana cores and clear the chamber of emerald golems. The golden chamber cleared, Excel proceeded to the chamber of the poison lake. To navigate the poison lake safely, he needed to cling to the back of a bone eel. Once clearing this challenge, he moved on to the mud slime swamp, made easier by Gwangsuk's prior knowledge of slimes that wouldn't sink. Successfully traversing the swamp, Excel arrived at the grid room. Recognizing the need for heightened caution, he knew this level harbored formidable monsters even challenging for Carl's. As he surveyed the lower floor, Excel noticed a robot ascending towards him. The robot initiated an analysis of Excel's pattern and introduced itself as Guardian Zeta, the keeper of the place. This role, however, was never mentioned in the Great Human Demon War. Zeta explained that it would lose all functionality and cease activity in 714 days, approximately 2 years. Sensing movement, it had ascended to fulfill its mission before its eventual shutdown. A sudden recollection struck Gwangsuk, something he'd read in the novel. When Carl's party arrived, the robot had been deactivated because 2 years had passed. Zeta proceeded to initiate its guardian duty, informing Excel that, as the guardian of these ruins, he couldn't allow Excel to pass unless Excel could destroy him. Zeta explained his true mission: to prevent those lacking the power to defeat him from progressing. As a lightsaber emerged from Zeta's hand, he said, challenging the Human of the future, a user of an S-rank blood aura, fight with all your might. Excel wondered why Zeta possessed such formidable strength. Realizing the risk of a prolonged confrontation, he acknowledged that he had no other option but to deploy Zigblade. Zeta took on significant damage, which made its combat capabilities deactivate, and Excel, depleting half of his blood aura, recognized Zeta's strength, but knew it consumed a lot of energy. Excel voiced if Zeta had any final words, in which he was bestowed its red eye, revealing information about a secret location within the ruins. Zeta's eyes would serve as the key to access it. Zeta disclosed that in the deepest part of the ruins, a hidden entrance led to a place where one of the ancients had left behind an elixir. and he hoped he would find it to finish what they couldn't. Guangsuk, unaware what Zeta's statement meant as it was not mentioned in the novel, Excel pressed on with his journey and entered a room where a gigantic worm resided within the dust cloud chamber. Utilizing Blood Aura's jade, Excel initiated an attack on the gigantic worm. However, he didn't focus on killing it since, unlike other monsters, it was confined to this room. His primary objective was to reach the exit and clear the challenge. Subsequently, Excel reached the final room, opened the door, and laid eyes on a green bottle within. Suddenly, a voice addressed Excel, instructing him to raise one hand if he could hear it, introducing itself as the main system responsible for managing the ruins. Furthermore, the system was scheduled to expire in 2 years. Similar to Zeta, the system was on the brink of disappearing after executing its mission. That mission was to inform the human of the future who reached the final room. The system conveyed to Excel that the item in his hand was the elixir. The potion was infused with the essence of their advanced technology, and it held the power to permanently heal or neutralize any illness, poisons, or injuries. In essence, the elixir could make him immune to every type of poison, including the afflictions associated with the dragon lineage. Guangsuk reflected on this information, recalling how in the Great Human-Demon War, Princess Scripps gained an extraordinary healing ability and transformed into a formidable warrior known as the Goddess of Battle. Despite pondering these connections to the novel, Excel, considering his own challenges, decided to drink the elixir. After consuming the elixir, Excel inquired with the system about how the ancients were annihilated, despite possessing such advanced technology. However, the system declined to answer that question. Instead, it emphasized the importance of Excel taking note of the unique inhabitants of the ruins, as the monsters would regenerate every 2 months. The system explained that these monsters' bodies contain various materials that could be valuable in the war against demons. Excel detected a certain foresight in the system's words, especially regarding the anticipated war against demons. Bombarding the system with questions about the impending conflict, it maintained its inability to provide answers. The system suggested that if Excel explored a different ruin and reached its final chamber, his questions might be addressed, but he only had 2 years left before all systems within the ruins stopped operating. Following this explanation, Excel felt his blood aura recovering, and he couldn't believe it, as it should have at least taken 2 days to fully recover after exerting it so much. He speculated that this recovery might be an effect of the elixir. Excel actively sought out the hidden entrance and placed Zeta's eye into the designated hole. This action opened up a secret tunnel. The system within this secret space offered Excel the chance to acquire a special ability. Intrigued, he inquired about the nature of this ability, prompting the system to conduct a scan of his patterns and analyze the abilities possessed by other entities with energies. Excel expressed his desire to obtain the special ability. The system informed him that once the skill engraving process was finished, he would be immediately transferred to the surface. Unexpectedly, Excel experienced a splitting headache before the system announced it had completed his engraving. Transported outside, the great sage found Excel unconscious and called for him as he slowly awoke. The elf elder asked about Excel's changed eyes, bringing him to the river to show the confused Excel what he meant. Excel, shocked at his changed eyes, noticed a light emanating from them. Unexpectedly, a voice declared, "The scanning system has been completed." Assuming it was the great sage speaking, Excel was surprised when something materialized and displayed detailed information about the sage. Astonishingly, Excel discovered that he could now use scanning at will. Curious, Excel attempted to scan himself and discovered that the dragon blood remained at a high level. Puzzled by this outcome and unsure if the elixir had failed to cure him, he consoled himself with the knowledge that, at the very least, he seemed to have prevented the Emperor from succumbing to madness, as depicted in the Great Human-Demon War. Excel, unable to enjoy the accomplishment for long, as a group of elf soldiers arrived, they informed Tuntuzil, the great sage, that the barbarians had initiated another attack. Tuntuzil, shocked when told the assaults originated from 2 towns' directions. It sparked concern about potential threats to villages beyond the protective barrier by a large number of barbarians. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Excel directed Tuntuzil to go and seek reinforcements from the Rune Empire. Reflecting on the novel, Gwangsuk remembered that the elves in the Bloody Forest were supposed to be wiped out in the year 413 of the Imperial Draconian calendar by demons controlling barbarians. However, the events took place earlier than expected, making Gwangsuk ponder if history was changing due to his actions. Unable to sit idly by, if it indeed was, requested to be taken to the battlefront. Excel arrived at the town flycatcher and shouted out orders, but everyone overwhelmed aware they must hold their ground to ensure Haspel's safety. Excel told everyone to stand back and took the lead as their emperor, telling them all to return to Haspel. The elves hesitant to leave, Excel stated they could leave or perish by his hands, which made them all quickly run away. The elf's gone Excel then turned his attention towards the barbarians, dispatching them one by one. About done with their elimination, Gwangsuk's sick by the sight. A hand almost collides with him, able to barely dodge it. An infected troll appears, unfortunately connecting with its second attack. Excel experienced a surge of anger but managed to control it, recognizing that taking hits in battles was unavoidable. He discovered the elixir he consumed was suppressing the effects of dragon blood, confused why he hadn't fully healed. Despite realizing he couldn't defeat all the enemies, he found himself unable to move. Resisting the suggestion to turn his back on the enemy, Excel then found himself surrounded as the barbarians were about to attack from all sides. Suddenly, a blood spear struck down a barbarian as the White Dragon Knights, answering Emperor Excel's call, arrived. Ingress was tasked with dealing with the current foes, while Sis and Renat were ordered to protect the elves in Maple Leaf Town. Upon hearing Excel's earlier words, Ingress found himself momentarily lost in thought, drawing a parallel between the current emperor and the old one. However, Excel quickly snapped him back to attention, urging him to regain focus. Ingress, filled with determination, eagerly seized his spiral blood spear and declared his intent to eradicate the enemy. Having cleared all the enemies, Excel questioned the delayed arrival of the White Dragon Knights. They apologized, citing the intricate process of obtaining teleportation permission in the absence of the Emperor, explaining that the approval now rested with the temporary Prime Minister, Sir Beos, appointed after Excel eliminated the previous Prime Minister, who was a demon. They clarified the bureaucratic delays that led to their late arrival. Gwangsuk recalled Sir Beos to possess impressive connections, scholarly endurance, and leadership skills, even distancing himself from the crumbling empire and the insane emperor in the original story. Recognizing Beos's potential, Excel contemplated including him in his inner circle despite the challenges. Keen to assess their capabilities, Excel used his scanning ability on Ingress and Sis, evaluating their stat levels to gauge their effectiveness in his service. Curious about Excel's experience in the Emerald Ruins, Ingress inquired, leading Excel to disclose that he had consumed the elixir found there. Additionally, he declared the elves in the Bloody Forest as citizens of the Rune Empire, entrusting his knights with the responsibility of staying to protect them. After the discussion, Excel promptly returned to the castle and invited Beos to share a meal. During the gathering, Beos posed several questions about the Prime Minister's responsibilities. Excel admitted that if he knew, he would have managed it personally. Nevertheless, he shared the important news that all elves in the Bloody Forest were now citizens of the Rune Empire. Furthermore, Excel informed Beos that ownership of the Emerald Ruins had been transferred to the Rune Empire. Excel directed Beos to utilize the monsters in the Emerald Ruins for war preparations. Confused, Beos asked about the impending adversary. Excel revealed they were gearing up for war against the demons, set to begin within a year. Intrigued, Beos questioned Excel's certainty. Asserting his authority, Excel confidently claimed there was nothing he did not know, honestly expressing his thoughts. Beos acknowledged that Excel was proving to be a vastly different person than he had anticipated. Initially considering the possibility of Excel being either insane or on the verge of insanity, Beos ultimately pledged his loyalty to Excel, vowing to exert every effort for the betterment of the Empire. Concerned about diplomacy with foreign states, Beos asked Excel if he should handle negotiations, especially with the Saphigold Empire. Anticipating an envoy's arrival due to the Blood Forest now being recognized as Saphigold territory, Excel assured Beos that he would manage the diplomatic matters himself and dismissed any fears of war with the Safegold Empire. Upon the arrival of the envoy, Barza, from the Safegold Empire, Guangsuk and Excel felt the weight of the responsibility he had promised Beos. However, Barza vehemently opposed Excel's desire for war with the demons, even at the cost of his own life. The mention of Barza's name triggered Guangsuk's memory of the fifth demon, General Barza from the novel, a traitor who betrays humanity and aligns with the demons. In response to this revelation, Excel unsheathed his sword and struck down Barza, leaving Beos shocked and disturbed. Guangsuk felt a sense of impending trouble due to Excel's actions. Beos, anxious about the situation, believed that war with the Safegold Empire was now inevitable. Unfazed by the potential consequences, Excel casually called Beos over and instructed him to convey his message to the Safegold Empire. Without hesitation, Beos agreed, acknowledging the Emperor's command. Surprised by the Safegold Empire's restrained response, Beos returned with an unexpected companion, Scripps, the cursed princess. Once an ally of the Knight of Light, Karl's, Scripps showed early signs of dragon lineage at 7. However, by 13, fits of insanity led her to commit heinous acts. At 16, she distanced herself from others, chaining herself to prevent harm from her violent outbursts. Scripps, originally meant to consume Excel's elixir for recovery, instead left him with regret. Moments later, Scripps began feeling dizzy, prompting the concerned emperor to urgently request some water, suggesting she remove the chains. However, Scripps explained that excessive water would trigger a loss of control over her dragon lineage. To stay alive, she had to limit her intake to the bare minimum. Reassuring Scripps, Excel expressed confidence that he wouldn't be defeated by someone like her. He then requested the maids bring food and drink for Scripps. Upon reading the letter, Beos informed Excel that the Safegold Empire had entrusted him with the task of getting rid of the princess. In response, Excel proposed making Scripps a royal concubine, citing the letter from King Magus of Safegold, which threatened war if they refused to accept her. Despite the urgency, Beos cautioned against hastily deciding a matter of the Emperor's marriage. Instead, he suggested another option to Excel. As color returned to Princess Scripps' face, she asked Excel about her fate. Excel reassured her, mentioning a plan devised by the Prime Minister, and for the time being, she would be a Rune Empire noble. He added that she would become his wife in 2 years. Uncertain about her suitability, Scripps sought clarification. Excel explained he chose her for her strength, emphasizing the Rune Empire's need for powerful warriors due to growing demon threats from the nearby demon continent. He saw her as a valuable asset in confronting these challenges. After Excel scanned Princess Scripps' body, he recognized her latent strength despite her ability to not control it. He assured the hesitant Scripps to manage her lack of control, as all she would need to do was remain by his side during the upcoming war. Blushing and still worried, Scripps was comforted by Excel, who admired her beauty and seized the moment to propose. Deeply honored, Scripps accepted Excel and invited her to the Empire's laboratory, where he revealed that the great sage of the elves awaited to break the curse of the dragon lineage. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the teary-eyed princess thanked Excel for the opportunity to free herself from the burdens of the dragon's lineage. In the Imperial lab, the sage swiftly lowered the Emperor's dragon blood from 19% to 2% in 4 days. Regesta, a White Dragon Knights member and dragon lineage expert, congratulated Excel and the princess on the impressive result. Realizing the urgency, Excel asked about the immediate availability of antidotes. After assessing the princess's prescribed dosage and the current antidote stock, it was concluded that the supply would last for about 30 days. The great sage clarified that the primary components of the antidote are medicinal herbs indigenous to Haspel, though their availability is limited. Essentially, all required herbs can be located in Haspel. However, due to the small quantity of the neutralizing agent present in each herb, mass production of antidotes is currently deemed impossible. In response to Excel's question about the substance in the Emerald Ruins, Regesta confirmed a similar herb's presence in the ruins. Subsequently, Excel instructed him to swiftly guide the knights to the ruins and collect all available medicinal plants, including the moss. In a different location, while in prayer, the saintess received a divine message. The god of light conveyed, "The wielder of this sword will soon enter the temple." The community celebrated, anticipating the arrival of the Knight of Light. Yet, the high priest held a contrary view, interpreting it as a sign of a looming conflict surpassing the Light Dragon War that had brought chaos to the world 500 years ago. The priestess affirmed his worries, declaring an imminent war with demons and asserting that the Sword of Light was their only hope. At the same time, the Mad Emperor is devising a plan to visit the Temple of Light and meet Carls, the main character. Recognizing that the Sword of Light is a natural counter against the demons, and acknowledging Carls as the only one capable of wielding it, the Emperor intends to forge an alliance with him. In the Great Human-Demon War, not even Carls could shield people from the demonic onslaught, leading to the destruction of mighty nations, including the Rune Empire and the Sephigord Empire. However, the current circumstances are markedly different. Gwangsuk is optimistic that Carls will significantly amplify his strength in a tranquil environment. As per the novel's prophecy, Carls is slated to receive a divine message at the shrine approximately 3 years from now. Presently, at the age of 13, Carls is still a young boy. Hence, Gwangsuk has devised a plan to train Carls in the way of the sword, early increasing his blood aura, aiming to mold a much stronger Carls. Approaching the temple, he noticed people fleeing a burning house, prompting him to quickly assess the situation. To his surprise, demons were circling the area. Observing their presence, both Excel and Gwangsuk contemplated the possibility of eliminating every last demon. However, Gwangsuk questioned the underlying motivation for such action. While Excel, as the Emperor, had the duty to exterminate them, Gwangsuk's aversion to demons stemmed from his knowledge of the Great Human-Demon War. Puzzled, Gwangsuk pondered why his body instinctively reacted and what this unfamiliar emotion signified. Observing Excel's blood aura on his hand, he recognized that whenever incidents like these occurred, Excel's silver blood aura would gradually envelop his entire body. This particular blood aura endowed him with the ability to sense demons and instilled a deep-seated aversion to them. Gwangsuk began to discern a pattern, realizing something significant each time Excel harnessed this unique power. As the temple soldiers struggled against the demons, Excel took matters into his own hands, eliminating them one by one. Utilizing his scanning ability, he checked the demon stats and was infuriated to discover another shapeshifter among them. The demons were taken aback to encounter a human with a potent silver blood aura, having previously concluded that no knight within a 10-kilometer radius of the temple possessed such an aura. Confronting his target, Excel questioned a shape-shifting demon, Actus, about who possessed the strongest silver blood aura among all the humans he had checked. Despite a sword at his neck, Actus laughed and refused to answer. However, the demon beside him revealed that there was only one human with such a powerful silver blood aura in the entire continent of Iroth, the emperor of the Rune Empire, Exotrian. Upon hearing this, Excel swiftly eliminated the demon. As a reward for acknowledging his identity, Excel declared that he would personally eliminate them without causing any pain. Enraged, the demons immediately launched an attack on Excel. Despite being unable to visually perceive the demon's assaults, he could sense them, and that's how he effortlessly vanquished his adversaries. The shapeshifter demon couldn't believe that his brothers had been instantly killed. Perplexed, he inquired of other flying demons about their actions and implored them to descend and engage in the fight. Suddenly, they all rushed and attacked Excel together. Fortunately, he could discern the trajectory of each attack. Gwangsuk marveled at the remarkable advantages bestowed by the silver blood aura. It was akin to foreseeing the future. Evading the demon's attacks, Excel seized one of the spears, astonishing the demons. Then, he threw it into the air, leaving Gwangsuk puzzled about his intentions. Suddenly, the spear detonated, obliterating the flying demons near the explosion. This enraged the shape-shifting demon, prompting him to contemplate summoning someone. He then commanded everyone to initiate their plan, and all the demons began to sacrifice themselves. This resulted in a ceaseless flow of the demon's blood. The Emperor didn't know what this phenomenon was, but he recognized its danger. The soldiers who witnessed the event were amazed and expressed gratitude to the Emperor for saving them. However, Excel didn't appreciate their presence, As he sensed an impending threat, he warned them to back off. The knights of the Great Temple of Light were displeased with Excel's rudeness. Suddenly, a river of blood manifested, creating a whirlpool that sucked in all the knights in the vicinity. A dark hole abruptly manifested, summoning a colossal demon named Ephetros, one of the 7 Dukes of Hell and the Duke of Gluttony. Meanwhile, at the Great Temple of Light, the Saintess and the other priests were fervently praying to the God of Light for salvation. During their prayers, the Saintess observed the Sword of Light reacting, and suddenly she received a divine message. Despite someone's attempt to dissuade her, she endeavored to grasp the sword, oblivious to the warning that she must not touch it. The high priest cautioned Saintess Liena against touching the sword, emphasizing that anyone other than the Chosen One would perish upon contact. Disregarding the warning, Saintess Liena asserted that it was permissible because she had been chosen as the messenger and needed to deliver the sword to its rightful owner. As they observed the Sword of Light not repelling her, they wondered if it indicated that the Chosen One was present in the temple. The Saintess claimed that the owner of the sword was outside, prompting warnings about the perilous situation with demons surrounding the temple. Despite these concerns, Saintess Liena dismissed their cautions and ventured outside. She believed that if she delayed, more people would be in jeopardy. Outside the temple, Emperor Excel struggled in his battle against the colossal demon Ephetros. The elixir provided some protection, but the vast difference in their power posed a significant challenge. Excel found himself limited to evading the demon's attacks, with the only available direction being upward. Regrettably, he took a severe blow from the demon's hand. Attempting to regain composure, Excel scanned Ephetros, witnessing his S to SS rank plus stats with a hurt expression, but he was able to remain composed, aware he still had a chance if he could just shatter the demon's core. After a few moments, several knights from the Temple of Light arrived on the scene, only to be swiftly and ruthlessly eliminated by the overpowering demon. Seeing an opportunity to strike while the colossal demon's guard was down, Excel moved in for an attack. However, Saintess Liena called out to him, requesting the use of the sword that she had thrown. Puzzled by the girl's identity and the significance of the sword, Excel decided to comply for the moment. Unexpectedly, he was enveloped in a radiant light, and he couldn't understand why the sword wouldn't release from his grip. Excel, initially in severe pain, thought he would perish, as the system said synchronizing neural network failure. But Cell, aided by the scanning ability embedded in him and the elixir coursing through his veins, managed to overcome the hurdle. He found himself capable of utilizing certain functions of the anti-demon weapon, the Devil Hunter, also known as the Sword of Light. Inquiring about the sword he held, Excel asked the Saintess if it was indeed the Sword of Light, and she affirmed that it was. Guangsuk was shocked by the Saintess's decision to give the sword to Excel. As the colossal demon approached them once more, hungry for another attack, Excel told Saintess Liena to stand back as he faced the colossal demon. Excel launched an attack with Saintess Liena's support through her divine power. Perceived as his final opportunity, Excel focused on delivering a single, decisive strike to shatter the demon's core. Comment down below if you enjoyed and would like to see more. For more videos like this, check out the channel and turn on post notifications. Like and subscribe to let me know you are enjoying the videos, and thank you for watching.